Hi! Good afternoon. It's Mary Amy, and it is 2:05 in New York. And we are streaming live. It's Signs of Light. Welcome. I'm happy to be here. I had a wonderful weekend. I hope you did as well. So we have so much to cover today. We have a guest, Peter Hansen, who's an angelic channeler. We're going to give our favorite mysteries recap of the last 15 shows. And a question, do you like yourself? Always a visualization. Now, before we get to that, I have a disclaimer. I'm not a medical professional. I give self-healing techniques to inner peace and personal serenity. My holistic modalities include: I'm an intuitive wisdom coach, a Reiki master, and an ordained minister. And don't forget, bright light shines on us. Every thought is very powerful. We are all part of a whole. My pain is your pain, and your pain is mine. Karma is a cycle of cause and effect. Now, the sacred knowledge I impart on you is to connect to a source of light, engage with nature, and record your sleeping dreams for the universe to bring you on your ultimate destiny. Okay, so momentarily, any minute, Peter Hansen will be calling. Ta-da! That's actually going to be shiny, so we'll show you this. So Peter Hansen, which he has to remind us where he's coming from. He is an angelic channeler. He is an amazing embodiment of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. He's intelligent and humble and kind and supportive. He is ascension guide from the highest caliber, and he truly wants to help you shine your light, and that's nice and bright. He is well known for his abilities of accomplishment as a psychic angelic channeler. He utilizes his unique connection with Archangel Gabriel. Now, Peter's sessions include psychic readings, angel healings. He has a mentorship program. He's able to remove dark entities and blockages, etheric blockages, which we have to ask him what that means. And he can channel future probabilities and parallel realities. Ooh, I want to know all about that. So let's just be aware that he's going to be calling in, which is exciting. And so Peter, I don't know. I know he's coming. He's not from the United States. So he's calling from somewhere else, which we're going to find out. Now, I've known Peter for, 3 or 4 years. And I've done other shows live, and he has been a guest. And he really, truly embodies light. And when you see a picture of him, I actually am taking that, quoting a friend of mine, Estrella, and she said when she saw a picture of him, she said, Mary, he really has light around him. He's connected to the angels. And he does say that he has a connection to Archangel Gabriel. So like I said, he's going to be calling any minute. And, well, I'm just going to talk for a second. Like I said, 210 to call. He's going to be calling at 2:10, so any minute. But before he comes on, I just want to say that today I had a little bit of a rough time. And I felt somewhat troubled. I don't know how you're feeling, and I know that the solar eclipse last week had an effect on me. And so this morning it was raining out, and I walked outside in my pajamas down to the porch. He's going to be calling any minute. Let's just see, where is he? Any minute. And I'm just going to give you an update on myself before he calls in. And so I walked outside, and it was raining, and I stepped out on the porch, and I was saying to myself, what's wrong? Here he is. Peter.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
How is everything?
Everything's great, Peter. So Peter, before we move on, just tell us, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Austin, Texas. I'm here right now today,
Uh-huh.
flying to California on
Nice.
Thursday. So I didn't hear the intro, so if there's something you should know about that or anything, please let me know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just basically, from what I know about you, and just a brief bio, because, I want people to kind of have a little excerpt about who you are and exactly what are you presenting to the world. And I was saying that I had spoken to my friend Estrella, who was on last week, and she said she saw your picture and your photo, and she commented to me that you just had so much light around you and you were very highly connected to the angels.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that that statement. And it becomes more and more obvious, of course, as we continue to be at service and live day in, day out, in these realms, and just having this as life purpose, and it's just beautiful. And connecting with people like yourself and so many wonderful clients I'm working with around the world, who are not. Some are at different stages, some are beginners, some are very advanced. It's such a beautiful mix, and coming together as a community, and we've been waiting for this, for a long time. We've been preparing for this, we've been prepping for it. So we're now all coming back, getting our gifts back, and seeing the bigger picture where we all connected and how we all fit into this bigger puzzle, which is very interesting and very... I noticed that lately a lot, is that it's just starting to make sense now. Like, we putting the pieces together. It's like even past incarnations of my own. It's like why I highlighted several of them, and then why that's important now. How those together create even a higher energy in unity. Together. And that. Combined with everybody else on the team, everybody else here, then it's like changing worlds and just creating new worlds.
I kind of understand what you meant when you said we were waiting for this, because I know a few years back, or even 5-6 years back, I kept hearing from other light workers, people that were in this kind of niche career, I guess you could say, talking about how the world was going to be coming to more consciousness, and it was going to be more like global. And I feel like it's what you said, that we're here to kind of guide people towards being more in tune with, I guess you could say, their spirit, or other dimensions or other realms, and what we all have inside of us to offer, rather than what's kind of a material part of the world. Is that making sense?
Absolutely. I want to add to that. I mean, I felt like that was the perspective maybe a couple of years ago, like you're mentioning, but now even more so, I feel like, yes, we are guiding by example, but at the same time, we really, because we are stepping into being the conscious creators that we are. So yes, it's global, but it's individual. It's like it's from the inside out. Mm-hmm. So it's really about, yes, we can preach, we can teach, but we have to we have to walk the talk, we have to create, we have to continuously 24/7 live by our own standards or our own preaching. Like, we really have to be it. And that really makes a shift, because that's what's happening now, is that the old world were much more like following the leader kind of thing, mm-hmm. attitude, but now it's coming into, you are the leader, but we're all part of the same, so we're all leaders, with the same goal in mind. And that's life-changing on an individual stage. And then what that contribute to is that when you do that work and you step up and you start being your own leader, or follow that in a guidance, then you come together in a unity, because you can't enter that higher realm without doing that initial work and taking those steps. And and focus on your vibration and your work. You can't just talk your way there. You have to vibrate you there. You have to do the work to get there.
How do you do? So give us, if you could, for those out there who are kind of trying to understand this, maybe there's people more advanced who know exactly what you're referring to. But for those of viewers who aren't really understanding, what would be something that you would suggest to start? Like, how would someone start to do that? To be more, have a more higher vibration, be more conscious? What would they do?
Well, it's just the fact that when people do have that nudge or feel that, feel inclined to take that next step or to learn more, that means that they're already in a place in their ascension journey where they're ready to awaken. So they wouldn't care for anything in the world if they weren't ready. Let's say they wouldn't ask that question, they wouldn't. So that's already the first step. So that's really helpful.
Right.
So they're already open. They already feel that inner attraction, a magnetism, or a draw to people who they can feel are activated, or they want to start vibrating like them. So that's the initial. But then starting to listen to the inner guidance, and then the more you do, then the outer world will provide. When you ask the questions, it might not always, especially at first, come from within, because you're creating that connection. So at first, when you're asking the questions, then the universe will bring it to you in a myriad of ways, like through emails, to other people, somebody at the grocery store talking about what you just were thinking, asking, like it's going to come up in very unexpected ways. So that's some of the first steps. But then as you...
what would be something that you would be hearing to do to have a higher consciousness? So here I am, and I'm saying, oh wow, I like you said, I'm beyond, I'm not defying it. I'm embracing it. So what would be something the next thing someone might hear to kind of go in that direction?
Right. It will be that inner nudge to not, basically the old world or the old ways of doing things that kind of looped in a frequency loop and just kept ending up at the same place. It was starting to getting so old and draining that is like people are reaching a point, it's like, why am I fighting? And so starting to seeing it from a higher perspective, it's opening up space for new to come in. So that inner guidance, where to go and putting that in your path, in a sense, you are creating that yourself by opening up your mind for the guidance to come in. Then it could be books, it could be, podcasts, it could be working with people like us, and then that's what it's going to be a combination of all of that. And little by little, people, they get, the more you connect with those aspects of yourself, the higher consciousness, and you start to feel how things make sense in a much higher way that doesn't create separation and duality, then it feels right, and then your body and your spiritual body and all your bodies will start assisting with that, drawing you in that direction, so you will start becoming more and more drawn to that kind of information. So the point where you make a shift, you fully make a shift, like that's when you come in from 80-20 to 50-50, and then eventually the scale shifts, and then you at some point you will be 100% in your spiritual body, like in your multidimensional self, and fully activating your light body and being the embodiment of the divine. But that's what we're all coming into, where we can be complete beings again, where we are already perfect, where we have that sacred union within, between the divine masculine and divine feminine, so we don't look for anything at the outside to complete us. Because that's been one of the biggest things, or obstacles for thousands of years, is that believing that from one consciousness or one standpoint of consciousness is that we have to get to somewhere, but that's all based on separation and lack consciousness. So learning how to embody any aspect of you that's creating any kind of separation or duality or giving you power away, take that power back. Learning how to live as a complete soul, and when you do, then you can fully enter the new world in a sense, and fully maintain it. Otherwise you will get moments of it, and then you will start playing with other complete beings, and that's a totally different, then you start a whole new part of your journey where you clear all the old outdated programming and lack consciousness and humanness.
What, Peter? What are some attributes of like a higher consciousness, a higher vibration? What would that look like? How would they be if that was coming to pass?
Well, you love your work. You love where you at. You are in a place of non-resistance. So you are very positive and compassionate. And that can sound very cliche to a logical or linear mind,
right?
But it's a space of consciousness. So you have to learn how to clear all that separation, clear all that creates any kind of blockages within you. And when you do, then you make choices based on what's best for the whole, or what would my higher self do. And when you catch yourself going into an old loop or old programming or old habit, instead of taking that as a defeat or a setback, then you shift that into empowerment. It's like, I caught myself, doing something that, or allowing an old program to play out through me, and then every time you do, then you remove another piece of the puzzle, in a sense, that the pieces, the broken piece is the one that doesn't need it anymore, allowing you to enter a new playing field and a new way of living. So it's really about being love. It's about you choosing what's best from moment to moment, and it really is not. It's something we become. It's not just something we do once in a while. It's like it's all the time.
It's all of us. It's completely. We're completely all love. We're all compassion.
Yes, absolutely. Standing in the fullness of your soul and your truth, purity of intent. You really you don't. If you would know at that point, to hold that and to operate like that. That if something is not honoring the divine blueprint or honoring the higher consciousness, then you wouldn't do it, because you know that's just going to set you back. It's going to drop your frequency into a place where old problems will start.
So lower frequency, you're saying dropping in. What would that be? So we can define. So you're saying higher frequency is love and compassion. Lower frequency is what? What is that?
Well, that's conflict and it's chaos. It's separation. It's fear. It's that old dualistic ways of there's an enemy outside of myself where I'm kind of I'm always being attacked. When you raise to a higher vibration and a higher consciousness, which matches, then you're not feeding any of those old programs. You're not giving your thoughts and your actions to any kind of program or belief that's less than that. Mm-hmm. So you maintain a higher belief. You believe, really, you're shifting your belief system from everything being hard into, the opposite of that. Continuously, you flip or you switch the realities. It's like, okay, well, I can choose this, I can choose that. If I choose this, which is a rough path, where I think everything against me, then I can get that reality. Mm-hmm. If I shift that into what if everything just work out for me, then I'm entertaining and I'm feeding and creating that timeline, so I can expand and enter that reality. So it's really about you have a choice from moment to moment. And again, it takes practice, because we have layers upon layers upon layers of old programming and protection around us that needs to go. But as we're starting our ascension process and awakening journey, then it shifts from happening to us to actually assisting us.
How exciting is that ascension journey? What are some kind of, what do you feel? What are emotions that you feel when this is happening to you?
Well, peace of mind, unconditional love, being able to be in the present moment, meaning that you can wait for somebody, or you can just be in nature. You can be somewhere, with nothing really to do for those whatever a long time, and you just are fully content. Where the old mind would look for something to do because it feels like, well, I should be watching my phone, I should be watching it, I should be doing this, I should be all these distractions. So that's a big one. It's like learning how to be in that presence with the divine, with yourself, and be fully content and just start loving that. That's spending time with your higher self and with yourself, learning and creating and establishing that relationship with yourself.
Right.
Where the whole life we've just been chasing everybody else to be friends with everybody else, and there's nothing wrong with that, but the most important friendship and connection is actually within. Because if you're still not honoring you, then you believe that everybody on the outside is not going to honor you either.
Right.
Because that's mirroring that, so learning how to, you can say fix or align or honor the inside, that will create a shift to the outside too. You learn how to embody your higher self and do what's right at all times,
I wanted to ask you a bit about some of these. I saw on your page, which is www.channelingarchangel.com, your website. I saw that you channel future probabilities and parallel realities. Can you explain that? That sounds very timely.
It is, but really it comes down to as well what we just talked about, I just mentioned, is that we create our own realities. So the thoughts and whatever you align with, what your dreams and your outlook is on life, how you're seeing yourself in the future timeline, you have a choice. You can base that perception or that thought form on the past, or you can base it on the higher consciousness. What would the opposite of that be? What would the fifth dimensional version of me be doing in 5 years? So are you
seeing? So wait. So you're so advanced that when you're defining something, it's like we can't. We have to understand what that means to us. You're at a much higher level. So when you're saying this, are you saying that this is happening during a meditation? Are you like driving around in your car and it comes to you? What do you mean, like this other reality? Like when you say that to me, I think of a science fiction movie, and I'm thinking, okay, when there's dual lives going on, of the person, and like here's another road that they took, and you have a double somewhere. But I don't think that's what you're meaning. So what do you mean?
Well, that's the thing. There's multiple timelines. So meaning that there's multiple realities. So learning how to shift realities to the desired one, not the one you unwanted one. So when I say that, and it is, I like the way you actually said that, and that you pointed that out. That's one thing I do, and many others do when we work with people, is that we can enter, because of our own work and vibration, we can enter a client's timeline or a higher version of them they might not have access to yet, or consistently have access to. So we can enter that vibrationally, and we can see what's coming up or what the probabilities are, because depending where you're on your journey, you can still get in your own way. There can still be old sabotaging patterns and free will, if you want to call it that, to jump in and then convince you to do something different or not doing something. So it's just like when you see future probabilities, you see what is the most probable future with what I'm seeing with your higher self and with your consciousness right now, what's going on at this moment, your vibration, all of that, because I'm reading with vibration, with frequency and light coach, feeling what the person or the client is going through. So it's really about learning. We can all do this, so that's why it's assisting a lot of clients, having somebody like us or me or others like me do this kind of work, because we can connect with the high aspects of them and guide you back, or the client back, to that version, or reconnect them, and seeing the blockages, seeing what is keeping the client from reaching that state or experience, having that experience.
It almost sounds like a little bit of hypnosis, but I know it's not, where you're kind of like when you're saying you're going in, because I've been hypnotized, so you're going in and then they're kind of giving you an alternate choice.
But it's not hypnosis. I know what you're meaning, and no, it's not like that. It's like it's really like I'm looking through my multidimensional lenses and self, that's how I see the world these days,
Right.
So if somebody comes to me and they're a little more 3D, they might be upgrading and seeing just throughout the physical eyes. So they're not seeing everything I'm seeing. So I don't have to put anyone under or anything like that. I see it.
Right.
Because I'm in a different vibration. So I don't have to subdue you. I don't have to put you into hypnosis, anything like that. But then I help you, guide you out of that limited way of being, the lower consciousness, into a higher consciousness where you gain access and start reconnecting with your higher self, the one I'm seeing. And that helps just clearing all those blockages and all that old self-sabotaging programming, and from inside outside, it's from the whole old human collective template, that's being cleared, the matrix, whatever you want to call it. Did that make sense?
Yes, and you kind of just gave me another question to ask you. So this is a very personal perspective about past lives and being born into. Are you clearing away blockages to gain the being that was before being born?
Past life, you mean? Or?
Like I'm saying, how they say, this just came to me. Before we're born, we see at least this is what I believe in past lives. So before I was born, I was like a certain being, and then you're born and you go through, experiences and circumstances, and whether it be trauma or whatever it is, and it kind of covers up who you really are. Like when you're removing blockages, are you removing blockages that were always there, or they're only there during this lifetime, if that makes any sense?
It does, and there's a little bit of both actually, but mostly I feel it's in this lifetime because, like you mentioned, it is the early years with the heavy programming, schooling, parental, society, lineage, all of that, like just not honoring the spiritual path for most. Not everybody, but the majority didn't have an upbringing where that was being nurtured. It was the opposite. It was just being put down, and it was being separated for them. So they lost. We all lost that sensitivity of it. Not all lost it necessarily, but like lost touch with it. Didn't know how to maintain it.
Right.
Didn't have a safe environment to practice it, and then that's really. So then all these blockages came up as you're growing up to fit in. You're trying to, as an empath as well, maneuver through all those heavy energies because you're very open when you come in, so you're very vulnerable in a sense. So you're going through a lot of trauma because of that, because you're much more sensitive to it. So when you see something really traumatic or going through some kind of hardship or like people who are in a very dark place attacking you, and just like society can be, was for a long time, So yes, that's come back to like clearing the childhood is a lot.
Right.
There's a lot of old separation from that. It can either be male, female, mother, father side. It can be all kinds of different. What it really comes down to, in essence, is that the separation from self. Because we're giving that power away. So it's really about bringing the person or the client or the soul back to themselves. And that's what our whole ascension and awakening journey is about, is that we're coming from duality and separation from self. You can say bipolar in a sense, but coming back into full oneness, into completeness, where there's no separation with you any longer, And that's when all your abilities and everything comes back, because now there's no drain, there's no outside force that controls you anymore, because you're now fully self-sufficient. You're learning how to maintain that, you're learning how to activate those gifts, you're learning how to navigate, you're learning how to live like that, and learning how to be at service, because that's really what it comes down to. More than ever right now, we all chose this time to be here for a reason, being here for the mass ascension, the golden age. We've been in many lives before this one, leading up to this one, so we've been practicing, even though that's hard to comprehend for the human. But as you ascend, you start to, like I was mentioning earlier,
You there?
So why those, that's become apparent to you as you continue to raise in vibration, because when you raise in vibration, you gain deeper and deeper access to that old knowledge that's already within you.
Mm-hmm.
So before we were schooled in public schools and other schools, that, this is the way the world lives, this is physics, this is, history, this is this and this and this, like, that's all going out the window, because it's most of it is either not true or just created to separate people or confuse people, keep them in a loop. So as you're learning to gain access to the divine knowledge, and you start seeing it from a higher perspective, and you're not looking for it on the outside as much, but you do co-create and collaborate with other people, like-minded people, then it all, you're seeing a much bigger perspective. You start to connect to the collective consciousness where all the knowledge is stored, and you have access to it if you're in the right vibration and frequency. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course.
I've seen some great questions today. You're on fire. I'm like, wow.
Really?
I love it.
Well, you know what it is? It's that I'm trying to come from a perspective of dumb myself down to that I don't know anything that you're talking about, rather than, because, if someone comes on and and I want them to get information, I want them to be able to understand it. And so if I'm asking questions that maybe someone would ask that didn't know anything about what you do, maybe it'll be more helpful to them, and then it's kind of a language, we have a language as light workers, and not everyone gets it. I mean, some words like, essence and serenity and spirit, and that's very common and that's easy to understand. But some of this other takes you down this very abstract road where it's like, what is that? So I'm wondering if you could share, if you feel comfortable sharing, how you got your abilities. And when did that happen for you? What did that feel? What were you like before your abilities and then after your abilities?
Okay, well, I was very 3D. I've been through that, and that's a common thing for old souls, you can call us, where we've been here many times before, that we were the whole spectrum of experience, but looking back, it's that, even I started smoking when I was 13 till I was 18, and looking back now, it's like, now it all makes sense, is that I had so much anxiety because I was trying to fit in, and I was like, I didn't feel like I fit in because I was so different, It's like many examples like that, and even younger before that, not smoking, but in other ways, just feeling really stimulated and not knowing where to go with that, not finding answers. So closing down some of those abilities at the time, and then later they start coming back on. And it really is, we all have our unique own spiritual journey where we have our trigger points. We have our like when we start the awakening journey, and if it's going to be extended over a long time, or years, or it's going to be short and express.
Mm-hmm.
Which a lot of people are going through right now is that it's full on. They're going from being fully asleep in a sense, into fully awake. And it's like, it's such a fast way that everything just turns into chaos because it doesn't operate the same way. But to come back to your question about me and how mine was extended out over many years. Of course, we talked about it in other programs before. I had with you about my car accident, my coma. But over the years, to my own inner guidance, guiding me to books, to teachers, to classes, to a lot of travel, I was kind of blown away too when I found out that one of the Atlantis and Lemuria, originating places really important on that travel. A part of it, there's many, of course, colonies, but like that was the Canarian Islands. That's the first place I traveled to when I went international with an airplane back when I was 17 or something like that. And then I've been to all the countries in between, basically, like all the way up the Mediterranean, Cyprus, all that, except Egypt. I haven't been there yet, but so that's on my list. And that it's starting to grow on me, and I start to feel an even deeper connection. I had a connection, but I didn't really understand what my purpose was with that yet, and that's coming online. I'm still working on that, so that's really wonderful. But really, what it comes down to about our ability is that it's trusting, it's being, allowing yourself to expand, allowing yourself to open up instead of contract and close up. So opening your heart, believing that there's more than what
face
you
value
see right in front of you. Yeah, that's the start. So allowing yourself to have that inner exploration, allowing yourself to be the pioneer, and I guess in your world, I mean, that it really like you chart out and you go out into unexplored, territory, because you don't know what's going to happen next. And that's really the key and the name of the game for living in the spiritual world, is that we create our reality. So learning how to, not feeding any old timelines or any old limited beliefs, but then create something that you want to experience. Learning how to become a conscious creator, where you honor your vibration, you honor yourself, you honor the divine blueprint within you at all times. And then it becomes very simple, because there's not all these million other things on the outside you have to worry about and you have to please, because you're just focusing on the creator within. And then your life experience, which can be very different from somebody else who is even like right next to you, is going to be mirroring what your inner work is doing, what you chose for you. Because we do have a choice at all times. And that's what people forget too, is like giving that power away. It's like, well, I should be doing this, or compromising, or even believing that it's supposed to be hard, because then we invite that hard experience in. We have to learn how to shift that too. Not just the thought itself, but its belief system behind it as well. So there's many layers, learning how to operate from that multidimensional selves.
That's beautiful explanation. And I want to say that Manifest More says, "Hi Mary, Amy, and Peter. Great show. Interesting too. Hi from friend in Scotland, XOXO." And then I said, "Thanks for joining." And she said, "Hello, love Evelyn, XXX." And I'm thinking that this is my friend Evelyn in Scotland. So a psychic, but I could be wrong. Like, I don't know, because you don't know if it's really who it is. But because it's international. I know there was somebody from one of the Scandinavian countries who joined last week, Alexa ABCD or something like that. Now, what nationality are you, Peter? Where did you originally come from?
I'm from Denmark.
Denmark, that's what I thought, but I didn't want to say the wrong thing. I hate to say the wrong thing. So
no, I hear you.
Well, it's for me what I've realized, I guess it's hit me recently. I kept trying so hard to be more, and I'm not doing a good enough job. And it's more like, I realize now that even when I wasn't as far along as I am now in my spiritual development and my transformation, I still was an asset. So it's not like you have to say to yourself, I have so much more. As long as you're on the path and the journey towards becoming more enlightened and more aware and more consciousness and more kind and more compassionate, I feel like it's contagious. And when you're around, other people and you're showing, you're just being that, like you're embodying that kind of person, it's like it spreads. It's like I'm saying, it's contagious. And I think that's the case with what you're saying, that you're, that as long as you're in that direction of trying to kind of improve yourself, and you say an ascension. I don't know if I'm ever possible to do the ascension, but to a higher level of being is what I'm trying to say.
We start ascending when we're born.
Oh. Okay. Oh, we got another comment. Kaywa says, "Hi, and I was wondering about the accent." Okay. So somebody was
So,
somebody was wondering about your accent also. So it's like I asked a question psychically that I knew that someone wanted to know the answer.
I love that. Well, I want to jump in and just comment on what you just mentioned, so about you feeling that you were not doing enough, or you didn't feel like, in a sense, when you come from a perspective of separation, or where you believe it's hard, or you look on the outside for proof and validation, it's a hard place, because, we have to shift that from the duality that doesn't believe it till it sees it. And so you can't compare yourself to anyone else. It's like you're unique. Your soul imprint and your mission and your purpose here is unique for you and anyone else, everybody else. And everybody is just as important as anyone else. It's so important to remember. But more importantly, for like this junction you are going through right now, is that, which I notice you are doing, it's just like, regardless of what's going on the outside, you just follow your heart and you just continue to put it out there. And that's really what it comes down to. When you just show to the universe that, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I'm doing it because I feel it's right, and I'm doing what I feel guided to do at this moment.
Yes.
Then you're showing up, and the universe will be showing up for you too, and it will provide you with anything you need, because you're doing this for the whole. You are answering the call. You're not doing it for personal gain. You're not doing it for money. You're not doing, you know what I mean? Like, that's a part of it, that this the part of the energy exchange that will be taken care of, but it's not the main priority. It's not. You are, and everybody else at that point, will searching for sharing this unique information and sharing it, being a light in the world, because it's a part of your ascension journey to become in service. So you have to step in, and you have to learn to master that. You have to learn to be and give unconditionally, regardless. Some will reward you, some will not. So you're learning as you're growing. You know what I mean? So like, it's really coming down to like, don't wait for anything or anyone to tell you it's okay.
Right. Well, I'm not. Like, it's funny because it's called doing meditation and saying keep going, and I get visions. I have angel visions every morning. And it's not even like more than 2 seconds long. It's just usually just like something in my third eye. I close my eyes, I plug my ears, and then I see something in my third eye, which is around me, because that's when I work with people, I see in their energy field. So in my energy field, I see these angels, and they're usually non-verbally sharing some kind of communication with me. And it's like they're there for support. And before this happened, I was just kind of, I would have a premonition dream, but it was like a very large, very specific, vivid dream. And then after that, I'm kind of going on this journey, and it's like something's getting dropped into my brain about what to do next. But I'm really not looking for validation. What I'm looking from the outside world, I'm more or less, I just want to be making a difference. I just want to help if I can, and for people to feel like they're not alone. Like, I know that there's a lot of struggle, and there's highs and lows, and that's life. We're humans. We're not perfect. And I want to say, like, hey, it's okay, just be yourself. And that's really what my message is. It's like about connecting to the love in your heart. And I found that this is making me actually a happier person doing this and wanting to help. I feel fulfilled.
That's exactly what it is. You enter a vibration of doing. You are now becoming it. You are embodying it. It's not just once in a while, it's all the time. And that's what happens. It's like, it's 24/7. It's like you become who you are portraying, or who you are, what you want to be. Like, you're becoming that magical self, And it is interesting you mentioned with the angels too, because angels assist us in many stages of our journey in many different ways, but it's mostly in the lower realms as we're going out of the third and the fourth into the fifth, because then we start mastering those frequencies, we start vibrating in the same frequencies, and we start realizing that this is something the human mind can't comprehend, is that the angels are aspects of you. It's like a future version of you coming back to assist you to get back to you, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Well, that's good to know. I mean, and it's funny, the more that I speak of angels and acknowledge them, then the more they appear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more information that they're assisting me. And I pray at night too. But okay, so back to you and what you're doing. You are you have a mentorship program for 12 weeks. What is that?
I assist. Like I mentioned earlier, I look from my multidimensional self. So when I take people into my mentorship program and accept them as a client, then I assist them on that journey back to themselves, because I've been through that journey. So, and I continue to be in my journey. So I'm ahead of them in that sense, you know. But really, I can guide them over that mountain or those mountains, because it's really about, when you have a guide by your side, it just takes you through. It just accelerates the path so much faster, you know. So, and I do have a wealth of information from working with so many clients and from my own journey as well.
Mm-hmm.
So sharing that's really that's paramount, you know. But really, it's I have so many clients who continue after they do one mentorship, then they cleared their template and they just clear so many blockages that. Now starting to live a new life in a multidimensional body, that's very exciting. So they kind of like, I don't want to stop, you know, like I want to continue with God, you know, and that's really, really awesome. And I'm working with a lot of people at not the exact same time, but like I have 8 or 10 clients doing mentorships with at a time, which is a lot, plus regular clients on the side. So it's a commitment. It's beautiful. It's just, I mean, that's my whole life, and I really, really, really love it, because there's just, when you see people transform from a inner self that was struggling into a very content and beautiful, self-loving and balanced self, it's like night and day. You can feel it, because that's the thing. Everything is vibration. When you see or feel somebody come into a room, you can feel what kind of vibration they come at already, you know. So when you can learn to control your vibration, that's what your energy field expands, because you now in balance, and you know you are honoring your multidimensional self, you're honoring your soul, you're honoring a different timeline, meaning you're honoring a much more loving and positive, unconditional love and unity consciousness timeline, compared to the old that was all based on lack and fear, separation, fighting, chaos, drama, trauma, all of that. You know, whatever we put our energy into, we magnify it, we invite more experiences like that in. So learning how to shift, and that's what I help people with, shifting out of the old, and as you're shifting into the higher version of themselves, to be clear, and it ceases to exist. For the most part, you know, there can still be things coming back up, but that's because there could be a trigger that needed to be revisited for expansion, for higher embodiment. So it's a fantastic journey, and everybody's journey is unique, and that's really important to remember as well. And it's like it's really like it's the best job ever, you know. I really love it.
When you travel to other realms or dimensions, have you received any kind of future predictions about world events or anything that's going on that you can kind of foresee happening to us?
Yes.
Can you share?
But, you know, we are already in the 5th dimension and higher. It's just like the individual has to learn how to be in a vibration to experience it. So the new world is already here. It's really about learning how to shift your frequency, shift your whole vibrational body, your physical body, upgrade and tune your light body, and embody all your bodies, basically. But what I'm seeing in the future is it's a unified consciousness, so it's a unified community as well, is that with peace, harmony, unconditional love, is where everything is going out the window of the old, meaning all the separation consciousness, all the wars, all the drama, everything that created any kind of distortion in our lives, lack, poverty, all that will go away. So abundance is coming forth, a new financial, monetary system, new school system.
What about the UFOs?
System.
What about the UFOs, the UAPs? Are they coming? Or are they already here?
They're already here.
They're already here.
I had a lot of encounters already. You might have seen some of the pictures I've been posting.
No, I didn't see it. Tell me. What is it?
No, over the years, I've been connecting for years. In periods, I'd say, where I felt like more drawn to it, and being myself up on ships and connecting with the Arcturians, the Syrians, the Andromedans, the Palladians, the Lyrans, the Blue Avians.
What are they? What are you hearing from them? What's going on? I mean, they've been here already, but are they? Is it going to be more collective? Are we going to be a community with them?
Absolutely, we are global citizens, so we're just not to be trusted fully yet. So that's why they're not coming in as strong, because if people are still in fear, they're going to go into fear mode and be very hostile.
Is this, are you saying physically, or are you saying spiritually? Are you saying physically they're going to come into our world? Like, I mean,
Look at it this way, like the third dimension is one physicality based on that vibration and that frequency. So what you see in the third dimension is very limited perception of what's going on. It's like you might see 0.0% of everything. As you come into a high consciousness, you start to seeing like 80, 90, 99, 100% of all the realms. So these aliens you mentioned, the
extraterrestrials
at higher consciousness, they are in a higher vibration, a higher frequency. They would not enjoy to be in the third dimension, because they would have to lower themselves so low that they would be vulnerable. So really, like, it's for us to reach the vibration where we can connect with them, and that we're going through that as a collective now.
What happens
they are guiding us, and they're assisting us in that ascension by allowing the rays, allowing the plasma codes, allowing the crystalline light body ascension, but also assisting individuals who are way showers, like myself and others, and there's all this disclosure going on right now too, in a mass scale, and that's all assisting with expanding the minds of humanity, so we don't fear the unknown like we did from all the movies that we portrayed as bad. All of it. There was some bad ones, yes. That was part of that old matrix, the old system, the old slave mentality, or energy being vampired out and harvested. Now, in the higher consciousness, that's against the universal law, so that wouldn't happen there. So now we are reaching a higher vibration, and that is what the Golden Age is all about too. It's the perfect geometry, like the universe, which is inside and outside, is in perfect alignment, where a higher vibration, a higher consciousness is possible. But before, it was shattered. It was like the polarity was all over the place, and so it was not possible yet. Now it is. So that's why I mentioned it before too. We all chose to be here at this time, because now we're shifting from a lower consciousness to a higher consciousness, a troublesome, difficult physical reality into a much higher perfect heaven on earth, walking in the dream, unity consciousness, unconditional love reality where everybody's taken care of. And it's just shifting the whole program. It's not just a few holding all the power. No, it's the whole community. It's like everybody's taken care of, and everybody chimes in. Everybody's at service. That's what's happening, and it's hard to comprehend that if you're not well on your way yet, maybe, or you know, depending where we are on our journey. So it's just trusting and just knowing that everybody's exactly where they need to be right now. But there's waves of awakenings happening right now, and it's going to continue. I mean, second and third waves is about to happen, is already happening actually. So it's just like it's shifting from being a small group who's awake into a huge part of it, like the bell curve. Eventually everybody will get there, and there will be some late, of course, responders that's going to
right. That's what I'm thinking. How is everyone going to catch up with all of this information? Because I've delved into this since 2012, and like I had some things to start with, obviously, because I had some abilities, but I'm saying for those people out there who are not connected spiritually and who do not have an open mind, like I say, open heart, open mind, what will happen to those people, those individuals, if if there's a certain group of people ahead, what's going to happen to them?
We all chose different paths, so there's no judgment if somebody chose a different path of leaving without going through the process. There will be a lot of souls who's going to do that, who's with the old way through death. Like they don't want to go through that whole awakening process. They rather just leave the old way and then go straight into the light. There will be people like that. So there's not about judging or comparing or thinking that one way is better than the other,
right,
because they all have a purpose.
Right.
They might be taking something out with them, that's not needed any longer, or it's just too dense, or who knows what, and then it's not about focusing on the outside, it's focusing on with what you want, what you do, what you would like to experience, not focusing on anyone else. And again, everybody, there'll be myriad of ways that's going to transpire and happen.
We get questions. So here's one. Kwa says, some stuff you guys say makes sense. I'm an atheist, so I am more looking at it from a science mind. Still, you can come to a similar outcome from different sides, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Do you want me to comment?
Yeah, I want you to comment on anything. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. Is that there's no one fixed reality. It's like if you look at religions, if you look at belief systems or societies, that things have to be a certain way. Like religion specifically originated in, and they are assisting every individual in coming back to self, back to God, back to the God embodiments.
Mm-hmm.
That's really the overall picture, but we don't need a church to tell you that. It's much, because then you're trying to fit into a system that was been tainted with. So it's really about you as an individual, you making that inner connection with God.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it comes down to. You start vibrating. You start not believing that anyone else can tell you or have the answer for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because God is in all of us. We are all the children of God. That's been abused and been taken advantage of through thousands of years to control people. But really, like, we are all the children, we are all the embodiments of God. It's really about me learning how to act like God. We have to act like God would or will and are. Being honor, being nice to each other, coming from unconditional love, not
right.
doing something that's hurting other people, not
right.
killing, not doing all this stuff, is that we have that within. So it's coming back to that within, and when you start doing that, then you start vibrating, and then that allows you to reconnect with God within and without, because it's a collective, but it's all individual. Like, you are God, we are all embodiments of God. So we all come together in unity, consciousness, as done the inner work. That's how we can. There's no separation. There's no labeling. There's no judgment. So it's a good question. I like that. And the thing, when you speak to the soul, which I do when I connect with people too, I don't speak to your ego mind. I'm not speaking to your wounded self. I'm not speaking to the conditioned self. But when you speak to the higher mind or the soul understands. The soul has been waiting for that knowledge. The soul has been waiting for some kind of guidance, some kind of direction, where it didn't know where to go before, because it was listening to the conditioned mind. So when you speak to the soul, it activates something within people that they feel guided now. They start that fire within. That you can't go back. You cannot lie to yourself any longer. You might try for a little while, but you don't see that so much anymore. Does that make sense?
Yes. And, you know, I simply just say, you know, it doesn't really matter to me what people's beliefs are, because it's more or less that unless you say it's related to your heart, and to me it's just about love. So I just say it's about connecting to the love that's in your heart. And, you know, the more that we love ourselves, then we become we become happier and more joyful. Then the more it's easier to be nicer to other people. It's easier to be more compassionate and kind. And that's really all it is. It's just that. It's that simple. It's about finding the light, you know, the light that's in your soul that is peaceful and happy and accepting yourself.
Absolutely. I love the way you put that. It's going to come down to that, like being unconditional love, because then you're not creating any drama. You're not creating any kind of blockages.
Right.
You're not creating any distortion.
Right.
You're coming from unconditional love, and by being it and vibrating it, it allows you to expand, and it allows you to experience heaven on earth, because that resides. That's where that experience is, and that's that reality. We have to be in non-resistance to happiness. We have to be it. We have to vibrate it. We have to choose it.
Right. Like I can't fathom myself intentionally, like where it's a plan of hurting somebody else, either by saying something to them or doing something. I just can't imagine. And I can't imagine because, like, I don't want to hurt anybody. Now, if you want to take it from karma aspect, you know, basically I always say my pain is your pain and your pain is mine, because we are all connected. And so I really would only be hurting myself if I hurt someone else, because then I have to live with that. And then it's like a little piece of my soul is kind of bit away or something. I mean, that's just my personal philosophy. So I just, like I said, I simply just want to send love, and that's it, and not hurt anyone. And because also it's like, where's that going to go? If you hurt other people, or if you're not loving to other people, then there's always a reaction, right? I mean, words and actions and thoughts, there's always some kind. It's not just left. You're now creating something. So it's really not productive.
Right. Well, it's not you. It's not your higher self that would do that. It's the hurt. It's the wounded. It's the victim self that would do that. Like when people hurt others, there's something within them that he was hurt at some point that they haven't forgiven or cleared yet.
Right. And I don't blame people. I don't blame people. If someone does something mean, then I just say, like, I feel bad for them, because that means that they're in pain.
Right. And you come to a point too where you just send them unconditional love, because you know they have been going through or are going through whatever they're going through, you know, that created that. So if you can clear any kind of separation within you towards them, like basically saying that everybody's a part of you. Everybody's part of the same light. So even the one who's going through trouble and stuff is part of you that's struggling with something. So it's clearing it. So sending it unconditional love and forgiving it for whatever it is, then you're not holding on to any resilience to it or resistance to it, or separation towards it, or you're not putting it, you're not creating more bad, put it that way.
Right.
So,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you are now bringing it into the light.
Yeah.
So the more you bring everything into the light, and any thoughts in your mind that could in the past have thought about hurting somebody else, you have a choice. If you feel a thought like that coming up, you can ask yourself, is this my higher self speaking, or is this all programmed belief I got from the news, or from a movie, or from somebody telling me, or from fear?
Yeah.
And you have a choice to say, oh, that's not my thought form, leave now, and then you shift it into the opposite of that. It's like, I do not want to think like that. So it's really, that comes down to the awakening part, where we choose our thoughts, we choose the reality, we choose the energy we are residing in. And any kind of hurt or any kind of like distortion and drama, it's a very low frequency that if you feed that, it doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good.
You choose the one that feels good, and
Right.
you just continue to build on that, and that's how you become like from being fully asleep into 50-50, continue to awake until you're fully awake, where there is no more distortion, there's no more need for separation of fear. So you fully cleared that. So it's not a part of your reality any longer. You don't react to it. You don't even say no to it. You don't fight it. You know what I mean? You don't fight for anything or against them. Like you just continue on your reality, and you vibrating a higher consciousness, and entertaining the thoughts that's actually supporting creating the new world. That's how we all individually assist in creating the new world.
The new world. We're here.
We choose a different route. We choose a different reality. We're not allowing the old frequency loop to play themselves out again. Because we can see, and we felt, and we've been through it so many times that we can see that's not serving anyone any longer. So that's what you're seeing on a global scale as well now, that the drama programming, many people might not see it yet, but it's actually happening. There's big shifts happening where there's still attempts to put people into fear, but does not have the same stronghold like it used to. It's shifting. People are starting to now look within. They're starting to connect deeper and deeper within. And as we do, the vibration, the collective consciousness keep rising, and more of us start choosing the new world and the heaven and earth timeline, and then we start creating that together and experiencing that together. And as more of us hold that consciousness and that frequency, then it's the old lower consciousness and old programming cannot chip at it. It cannot pull it back because it's way stronger. It will just pull the old programming into the light, and then it will transmute it.
Well, I just want to say that I'm really glad that you joined us today. And I appreciate you staying on for, it looks like an hour. And I hope you come back, because you are full of information that is beyond. I mean, there's just you and two other people that I know are at this level. And so I really appreciate that you came on today. And I want to share with everyone that, again, that your website is www.channelingarchangel.com, and you have Facebook, which is under Peter Hansen Psychic Angelic Channeler, right?
Yes.
And Instagram, Peter Hansen Angelic Psychic. And I believe you have a YouTube channel.
I do. There's not a lot of stuff on it, but yes, I do.
And that is that Peter Hansen as well?
Yes, Angelic Psychic or Psychic Angelic Channeler, Peter Hansen, it might be. I don't remember what direction it's written, but there's links on my websites too for that.
Well, I looked at your website today, and I scrolled down, and I thought what was great for people, if they go to your website, you have other shows that you've done on there, and I saw some of mine, and I said, oh my God, I'm on here. And you have, whether it's a podcast or a video, and you have a nice selection there of a lot of information. Not to say that people should not join your mentorship program, because I'm fully thinking that that's something I need to look into, at least, if not get a reading from you, because I hate to ask you, I don't like to ask people to perform during a show unless they offer, but I would definitely consider contacting you for the psychic reading, because I would like to hear about these aliens and my other dimension.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
And I just to comment on the shows that's on there, it's really a good way of different hosts asking different questions, different themes, and just, a lot of our ascension journey is going to be watching stuff like that, or watching and listening. And then if you feel guided to at some point to the either individual or do some kind of mentorship or other programs with other people, then follow that inner guidance, because really the healing you're doing now is going to affect your future. So it's really, you want to honor your soul. You can buy a new car, or you can buy a new life. You know what I mean? It's a bad experience, but I mean, a comparison, because it's not that expensive. But I really like
no, I agree.
You do.
It's worth it.
it's worth it because your quality of life is gonna be so much better, you know.
Well,
but that's why in the past we didn't honor that, you know.
It's almost like I have to keep moving because I'll tell you what I sensed, and maybe it's just me because I'm empathic, or maybe it's just the way my mind works, but in the last week, I've had to really kind of regroup, and I went through this, something knocked me down, and I felt like it was energy in the universe, and I was pinpointing it to be the solar eclipse, but I don't know what it was. Like, I don't know if there's just so much new energy coming into the universe that it affected me. But in the last week, I decided to change, my set and work in a different direction, and try to be smarter with what I'm doing and try to be more helpful. But did you experience anything energetically in the last week, or is that just me?
Oh, absolutely. We went through that solar eclipse, and we got a new sun, which might sound weird to people, but it's a much higher frequency coming into our sun now, so it's continuously being upped. So the light codes, the crystalline light codes coming in, is becoming stronger and stronger, and this diamond light codes coming in. It's really, so it's affecting our bodies. It's like they're expanding our hearts. Depending where it's going to affect everybody differently, but a lot of people could be really tired the last couple of days in the afternoon. Like, I noticed that when the rotation of the Earth, like the codes hitting, there's a lot of solar flares as well. Depending where we're located, we might feel it at a different time individually, but also what we eat and other symptoms, but it's really like it's been on. It's been like in a little really high heat here in Texas. So. And it's not just from the temperature on the outside, it's within. It's the crystalline body that's being upgraded yet again. It's the photonic light coming in, the crystalline codes coming in, and it's activating every cell in your body to vibrate faster. When they vibrate faster and can hold more light, then you gain access to higher consciousness. That's a part of it too. Our physical body shifts. So this is a part of it. And some bodies, this is interesting because what we talked about earlier, won't be able to handle that, because if it's compromised or if it chose a different route, it would have a really hard time operating in these higher frequencies and vibrations. And the air as well is just turning crystalline, so it'll be hard to breathe if you're still in a carbon-based body, if you're in so much resistance. So it will either activate people to start ascending, or it will other people will choose a different route,
Okay, I'm on my way to ascending. Right. I'm choosing ascending. I'm choosing the crystal air. I'm choosing ascending. I'm choosing meeting these aliens or these other beings. I'm choosing moving forward with my development.
Wonderful.
You always pause when I speak because I don't think you know if I'm going to be done. Because when you're on the phone, how are you going to know, right? But when you're on the phone call, you don't know if I'm going to finish, stop talking. But so I am so grateful that Peter joined us, and anyone that wants to watch this can view it again, and I'm sure that you can find more information about Peter on his website, channelingarchangel.com, and all of his social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And he has a mentorship program. He's a psychic. He has angelic healing. He gives psychic readings. And I'm grateful for all of this insight. And I hope you come back another time. And maybe by then I will have. You still there? You still there?
Yep.
Maybe by then I'll have a national show. Maybe on a platform. Who knows? And I'll say, Peter Hansen, come on up, come on over.
I look forward to it.
Okay.
Is this show on YouTube too? Or is it
this show gets uploaded on YouTube, and this show. Thanks for repeating, saying that. My show is on YouTube and also on my website, maryamyofficial.com. I upload them. It stays on Twitch TV for 2 weeks. And then I make little clips. So there'll be a little clip on there, but they don't keep the whole however many hours, because some people stream for 2 and 3 hours, 4 hours, and they can't keep everybody's video up there for unlimited time. But it's a great place, Twitch TV. There's a lot going on here.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank
it's really
you.
a pleasure to connect with you again and talk to you and hear what's going on in your life. And reach out, let's set up a session or something.
I will definitely. I can't. The only thing I'm going to need to know is how much, and I wasn't going to say that on the show. But
we will figure that out.
Okay. All right. Well, Peter, you have a great day. Thank you so much, and just keep going. Keep doing what you're doing, because it's great.
Thank you, and you too. You are doing amazingly too.
Oh, thank you. Well, have a wonderful afternoon in
Thank
Texas.
you.
In Texas.
Yes.
All right. Be well.
You too. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. That was great. So that was Peter Hansen, Angelic Channeler, and I can't wait to watch that back, because when he was talking about aliens, I want to hear about that. Although I have been learning quite a bit about aliens lately and UFOs, and I'm thinking I don't want an alien encounter or UFO encounter, extraterrestrial UAP encounter, because the radiation. Okay, so let's move on right now to some top mysterious facts from the last 15 shows. So I mentioned Project Blue Book, and Project Blue Book, here I'll hold this up so you can see. This is like, it's a document. Project Blue Book studied UFOs, unidentified flying objects, conducted by the Air Force in 1952. It was terminated in December 1969, and it was designed to determine if UFOs were a threat to national security. That was one. And two, it was designed to, and the reason why I'm telling you this is because of what's going on right now in the world, to analyze UFO data. There was, I'm sure there was more, but there was 12,618 sightings that were submitted and analyzed at Project Blue Book. And reported 701 remain unidentified. Now, lately, we all know what's going on, which is that there's what's called the UAPTA, which is a task force, and it's the latest Pentagon program formed for August 14th, 2020, to research sightings of unidentified aerial phenomenon. So this task force was formed by Naval Intelligence, unexplained aerial vehicles. Now, prior to that, there was what was called the Advanced Threat Identification Program, set up by the Pentagon, and that's the program that the whistleblower came from. Now, some common sightings that we've seen include black triangles, tic-tac shaped crafts, spherical objects. So the questions linger whether UFOs, UAPs are a threat to national security. So a report is due on June 25th. And the next stream I will be talking about UAPs a little bit more, but I wanted to kind of move on because this was about some big facts from the last 15 shows. So I had gotten this book, and it was by Colonel Corso. I kept all these pages in here. It's called The Day After Roswell. And Colonel Corso claims that reverse engineer from alien technology led to accelerated particle beam devices, fiber optics, lasers, integrated circuit chips, and Cavalier material. Now, there was a man called Boyd Bushman who was a Texas man, and he worked for Lockheed Martin and Texas Instruments, and he was an engineer, and he he claims that he had encounters with aliens at Area 51, and this is a actual picture that he gave out on his deathbed confession, and he claims that those are actual pictures of aliens that he had in a photo album. Now, another aspect of a discovery from Roswell was what was called this memory metal. And so the memory metal apparently was from the debris, and they say that you can, as you can see in this picture, the metal you can crush with your hand. Let me put my hand somewhere so you can see it. Crush with your hand, and then when you release it, it has a memory to go right back, so it's flattened. This memory metal from the Roswell wreckage. Here's the paper article from Roswell. So moving on, some other quick, facts. I say facts, but are they facts? Alleged information that we've covered during Signs of Light with Mary Amy was, we'll get on to Bigfoot now, because always Bigfoot, always Bigfoot. So let's remember the famous footage from Bluff Creek by Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin of Patty. It's never been debunked. Authentic video. And those are photos taken from the footage. Now, the BFRO.net. You can go online and go to BFRO.net. It posts recent sightings reports of Bigfoot descriptions. It's the Bigfoot Researchers Organization, and it offers Bigfoot expeditions. So they have encounter weekends led by experienced amateur researchers, and they allow personal experience of the best locations to see Bigfoot in the forests of USA. I had on my show Rick Relez, and he actually is one of the investigators, and he takes you out to the forests, and he said that the encounter is a few days long. You bring your own camping equipment, food and water and drinks, and they lead you to locations that there has been many Bigfoot sightings. He said the weekend or the few days, it's about 300 to 500, which is really for, I think, the investigator and permits to do the mini encounter expedition. So that sounds pretty interesting if you want to do that. Now, moving on, I wanted to remind you about Peter Byrne. So who is Peter Byrne? Peter Byrne, author, Bigfoot hunter. He is the leader. He led expeditions to the Himalayan and Yeti expeditions of 1957. So he gathered evidence of Bigfoot hair. Here's Peter. Anyone in the Bigfoot world knows who Peter Byrne is. And Peter Byrne claimed that he had evidence that Bigfoot existed, and he had hair, which he sent hair and some other samples to the FBI. And he had correspondence with the FBI, which I've showed some of the correspondence, and from the Bigfoot Information Center and exhibition. And he decided that he was going to prove that Bigfoot, Sasquatch existed. This book is pretty interesting. I'm really reading so many books right now, trying to keep up. But this talks about I'll get on to that another day, because I don't want to hold up anybody up, because we're moving on. So I'd like to talk about alien abduction. and alien abductions. So the most famous case which started alien abduction was, alien abduction. Betty and Barney Hill claimed that they were abducted by gray beings with large eyes on their way home to New Hampshire. They claimed to be taken onto a spacecraft, examined, and telepathically communicated with the aliens. Susan A. Clancy, author and cognitive psychologist, does not confirm the incident and instead calls these type of encounters false memory. In her controversial book, she explains her theory. So MUFON. Oh, here's a great alien. Now MUFON, Barney and Betty. MUFON is the Mutual UFO Network. Daily sighting reports, news, alien encounters. There's over 4,000 members worldwide. It was founded May 31st in 1969. The scientific study of UFO sightings, and it's one of the oldest and largest organizations of its kind. You can go onto their site and they give daily descriptions. So you can go on to the site and you can see the most latest sighting, and it's fascinating, it's intriguing. You click on, it gives a little description, it says the name of the person who had the sighting, the location, and then you can click on, and usually you can see a little video from an iPhone of an alien, of a UAP sighting. So this is a great site, MUFON.com, the Mutual UFO Network. I want to remind you that I had talked about the Alien Autopsy fact or fiction film. My daughter and I watched it. It was from 1995, and so it's the 17-minute black and white film. It's taken from apparently 1947. So when I reported it last, or I spoke about it last, I said that it was released by Ray Santelli, who's an entrepreneur, and originally it was believed that it was real. There's been a little flip-flopping here. Now later he admitted that the film was a reconstruction of a few viewable frames. So here it is, right? And, well, actually, this is actually something that was sold, but apparently this is really from the film. So it was a reconstruction of a few viewable frames from the extraterrestrial autopsy from Roswell crash in New Mexico. Now, Kit Green, the former CIA scientist, says that the alien autopsy film is real. This is from one of the shots of debris found, and this was in the film as well. So they had this, and then they had some of this, some of this from the crash. And so Kit Green, former CIA scientist, says that the alien autopsy film is real. And he says this because it resembles one previously shown of photos that he saw from Roswell. And he was shown a series of photographs of an autopsy, and he says it's real. The alien the cadaver is real, and there was a memo claiming that the alien forensic tissue and organs are held in storage at Walter Reed. Which way does it go? This way? Walter Reed Armed Forces Institute for Pathology in Washington, D.C. So that's interesting, because is the film real or not? Now, when I watched it, I had to turn my head a bit because it was gruesome. They're taking out organs. They took some kind of sac out of the stomach. So we're discovering, and I bet we do find out the truth eventually. The truth always comes out, I say. We will find out if alien autopsy, fact or fiction, is really an alien autopsy. Let's see, do I have anything else here? Oh, here it is. So this was interesting. So someone gave a breakdown, and they showed, right, raw footage, right? Also, there was something about them saying that it was fake, that something about the ears. I don't know. You can look it up and figure it out yourself, what you think. This was from the Lockheed Boyd Bushman. And so is this a real alien? Now I'm beginning to wonder, is it? But look how small it is, because if this is his hand, right? And this is a head, it looks very tiny. It's a tiny, tiny alien. Okay. So anyway, those were some of the last shows that I've done and some information that I've given you that I found memorable. I should have called it memorable. Memorable recap. The memorable for me. Anybody wants me to recap something, I will. Okay, so now we're going to move on from the myths and the legends, and we're going to do a visualization. Okay, so let's do a visualization. Okay. Whew. We will create vivid mental images in the mind's eye, bringing positive emotions such as joy, happiness, and hope. Blessings. Our intention today is to gain strength. Your self-acceptance visualization begins now. Please find a quiet space, sit or lay down comfortably. Close your eyes. Now let's let go of any tension in our bodies, and I'd like you to scan your body from the top of your head, your crown chakra, to the tip of your toes. And together we will inhale and exhale 3 times. Now I'd like you to breathe out old energy, and let's breathe in beautiful, fresh air. In the distance, you see a stream of spinning light. As the spinning light becomes more and more vibrant and evident and bright, you begin to accept this beautiful stream of light that is coming towards you. And you released any old thoughts, any old negativity, and anything that's blocking you from an open mind and open heart. And as the spinning light begins to surround you, the band is a full foot wide. You sense its glistening, vibrant, powerful sparks of light touch you. And as the light touches you, it feels like home, it feels peaceful, it feels pure and comforting. And you sense that the light spins clockwise. And as it spins clockwise, you let out a sigh. It spins 3 times clockwise. And you accept this light. And you feel more safe. And now this band of light begins to spin 3 times counterclockwise. And as it moves around you, it expands, and it moves closer to you, and it touches you, and you embrace it, and you have feelings of excitement and hope as the light engulfs you. An emotion comes over you. It's real, no longer a fantasy of dreams. Now your desires are happening. You've accepted yourself and what the light has to offer. You have happiness and love. And as the light begins to move closer and closer, you feel it touch every pore, every cell, every organ. your flesh and your bones, and it moves through your body. And the light joins together in your center where your spirit awakens and your heart and brain connect and your spirit gains strength. The past is now gone. You have awareness of who you are and the choices before you. The light becomes a ball of light remaining on the left side of your chest in your heart. And you feel safe. Joy, grace, and peace consume your emotions. Now you stay in the moment and you feel this. You have stillness. I will count backwards to 3 and you will open your eyes. 3, 2, 1. Thank you for joining us. Now, before I had Peter join us this morning, or this afternoon, I should say, I mentioned to you that this morning I felt troubled myself. And I woke up and I said to myself, how can I feel better? I walked outside and there's a large porch downstairs. And I stood on the porch in my pajamas and I watched as the rain came down. And I actually enjoyed it. I felt it made me feel close to nature. I felt connected and I felt human and I liked it. And I watched the rain drip off the leaves and I said, something's not right with me. What's wrong? And I had this troubled feeling inside of me. And so I decided, I thought, what would help me right now? So I let out a breath and I closed my eyes and I just put my hands down like this. And I just did a standing mini meditation where I just said, okay, whatever it is, I would like to connect to what's going on, and maybe I'll get some kind of information that will drop into my brain about what's wrong. And I was looking for peace. I didn't want to start my day this way. So I found what was wrong with me. And it's been an ongoing issue for me, and it was really my foundation. And sometimes I'm on the balls of my ass and I'm in survival mode. And because I really am raw so much of the time, because I'm empathic, everything hits me. And it might hit me more than things hit other people because I'm extra sensitive. And that's okay. And that's just who I am. And I accept that. But the downside of it is that when things hit me and I get knocked down, I'm struggling. So I said, what is this that's bothering me? And what came to me was, and I brought tears to my eyes, is it was about my self-worth. And we spoke about that with Peter, and I didn't really get into it because that's so personal, and I didn't want to take up his time with that. But what does that mean, my self-worth? And really it is, am I good enough? So that's been my struggle. Am I good enough? So I said, let me look up what is that exactly, my self-worth. I identified what was wrong. And so self-worth is the internal sense of being good enough and worthy of love and belonging with others. So I have an issue with that. Am I good enough? Am I lovable, I guess you could say? And I have felt at times I'm not. It's not self-esteem, which relies on external factors such as successes and achievement to define worth. So what causes low self-worth? So low self-worth is attributed to an unhappy childhood, parents and significant people who were critical or ongoing stressful life events. And it might be issues with money, or it might be a chronic issue with stressful events in your life. So I have that. So I said, how can I share this with you and help anyone else who has this? Or maybe it's not even self-worth, maybe it's another attribute. So let's do a personal discovery checklist together, okay? And then maybe it's something that you have inside of you that you might want to transform, which is what I would like to do. I would like to be a better version of me. So here we go. You might be missing, and I'll go through a checklist, self-worth, fulfillment, kindness. You might have loneliness. You might be missing self-love, passion, hope, or joy. And there's many more, but those are a few. So I said, how can I help diminish that and kind of send you on the way to actually feeling better? So I would like you to make a list of your gifts. When I say gifts, what are you good at? Let's recognize your worthiness. So I'd like you to make a list. It doesn't have to be a long list. It could be a few items, 3 to 5, of what you're good at. What are your abilities? What are your gifts? And this will help you to be positive about yourself in the future. Have self-love, which I promote. And then maybe when you realize what you're good at or you acknowledge it, don't listen to anyone else. This is personal. You don't have to share this information with anyone else. It's just for yourself. Maybe you'll want to take a challenge on related to that. I don't know what it could be. It's, whatever you're good at. What are your gifts? Now, another thing I'd like to mention is, like I always say, I say very broadly, a broad stroke, I say to everyone, well, if you're feeling pain, anger, sadness, or fear, you journal it, you go down to the water and you release it. But let me just say for a second, what does pain look like? What does anger look like? What does sadness, what does fear? So maybe it comes through, like for me, so pain might come through as, when I say I have pain, I'm not talking about physical pain, but it might be that too, but I'm talking about pain in my heart. So like you wake up and you feel crappy and you don't feel well. In other words, you feel down, you feel gloomy. You don't want to get out of bed in the morning. You could feel depressed. You feel isolated. You don't feel like you want to communicate with other people. I just want to say that we all feel these emotions at certain times. And they come through because maybe something's going on in your life that is making you feel unhappy. And it's okay to have these emotions from time to time. And my concern and my worry is when it goes on a little bit longer than a few days. If you have a loss in your life, if someone passes, maybe you have your spirit gets very sad and you feel lonely and you don't want to communicate. It's just when we have these dark or negative emotions that last for more than a few days, it kind of takes hold of our bodies and then it might make us sick. And so we have to snap ourselves out of it. And we can snap ourselves out of it by spending time in nature from 5 to 10 minutes to 15 minutes and embracing it. Turn off our phone, no electronics. Just go to our heart, check our body, and see, do we have pain? Is it physical pain or is it mental, spiritual pain? Are we hurt from something or someone? Do we need to forgive someone? Because when we forgive someone, it's helping us. When we forgive someone, we're making room for more positive emotions. Because what do we want? We really want, we base our decisions on our emotions. Most of the time, we go towards what feels good and we run from what feels bad. Now, what does love, joy feel like? What does that feel like? What does love and joy feel like? For me, I find love in things that I do. I find love in relationships that I have with my family, with my children. I feel love when I'm in a relationship, if it's a positive relationship. We all need love. You need love. I need love. Don't deny it. We do. And if we don't have love, if someone doesn't have love in their life in any capacity, it breaks you eventually. Like, you can go for a period of time, but then eventually it's hurting you. It's emotional. And I'm sending you love. I'm hoping good things for you today and for tomorrow, and for you to find whatever it is that feels fulfilling and passionate. And what does joy feel? Well, joy for me is like, I get giddy and I get excited. Like today I have joy. So what I found this morning about what was wrong, what I was struggling with, my self-worth, it's interesting that as soon as I acknowledged it and became aware of it, then it didn't feel so bad. And as soon as we acknowledge what's bothering us, we take away its power. You know, if we run and we're fearful of something, it's actually worse than actually going through it. Before we go, I just want to say to you, I want to show you that I speak of angels dancing sometimes, because in my third eye, in my mind's eye, and I go up here, but it's really in a place that isn't, I don't know where it is located. Maybe it's dimensional, like what Peter said. Maybe I'm on another dimension, but I see these angels, like right now, I'll tell you what I see in my third eye around me. So around all of us, we have an energy field. So in my energy field lately, I've been seeing angels. So I put this up here because these angels, now I'm going to get emotional. These angels started where I say we each have 2 guardian angels. Well, then there was just like it was almost like they were on bleachers behind me, you know, rows and rows, stacked up angels. And then every day, these angels kind of move in my third eye. So now, right now, the angels are actually moving up into like a circular motion. And I don't know if it's creating some kind of vortex going up to the heavens. I don't know. But there's angels dancing in my third eye all the time. But in our energy field is stored our emotional, our mental, and our spiritual characteristics. So that's how I do when I do a reading for someone. I hold their hands, or if I'm just hearing their voice, I see around them their energy field. And in their energy field, maybe I see a symbol or a circumstance or a spirit or some kind of entity. It could be bad or good entity. If you need to clear your energy, if you feel like overwhelmed, I'm going to give you a heads up. A couple suggestions. Clean your hands with salt. Wash them underwater with salt. Buy some sage. You can get it in a lot of the stores now. And you just burn sage and you walk around your home with the sage, and it clears confused energy. And if I'm around mediums or light workers and they're open to a lot of different entities, then sometimes they come to me and glob onto me. So I sage after I have any kind of communication with another medium, because they are open. So my suggestion to you, if you've been around somebody that makes you feel bad or is very like a dark type of person, I would say sage yourself. Sage. This was lovely. I want to just say that we had Peter Hansen today, Angelic Channeler. If you would like to watch the show, you can view it on Twitch TV for the next 2 weeks, or you can go to my website, maryamyofficial.com. I am on social media. If you join me, I post every day. sometimes more than once, which probably can be annoying. And I have Instagram, Mary Amy Official, Facebook, Mary Amy Official. And I offer my heart to you, and I wish you joy and peace and love in your life. And I want to say thank you for joining me today, joining us. My blessings to you, and in honor of my Scottish grandmother, Lucille, Lang me your lum reek, which means I wish you good luck and good fortune in the future. Be well, and I will be back soon. I'll post probably in the next 2 days because I have a report about UAPs that I'm dying to talk about. I just didn't get to it today. So have a wonderful day. Bye.